Hello everyone and welcome back. In this video we will talk about the Mac ecosystem, the hardware and software integration, the Mac Mini, and how do I use it in my workflow as a bass player. If you're like me and you don't care about all those synthetic benchmarks, all those numbers companies gave us, like it's how 100 times faster than the previous generation, all that stuff, I think this video is for you. Let me give you a side note before we start. A big chunky PC can always outperform a Mac with synthetic benchmarks. This video is not about that at all. This is the base model with 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of SSD storage. Nothing is upgraded at all. This is the base model you can currently purchase from Apple's website. I use this computer as a solo musician, as a bass player, for recording my bass, for arranging, composing and stuff. All the stuff with a DAW can handle, and some occasional 1080p and 4K video editing for my YouTube videos and some occasional outside work. First, let's have a look at my peripherals and then talk about how do I handle all that audio and video producing stuff. I think Mac Mini's ports are more than enough, but you need some expansions if you're gonna do some serious work on it. My Mac Mini has a 1 gigabit Ethernet port. I think you can upgrade it to 10 if you're gonna connect the network and servers and stuff. I use it to get online. I do a lot of Zoom calls for teaching and stuff, and Wi-Fi is not reliable enough. Not the machine Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi technology in general. I connect 2 Logitech Brio webcams. I think they're fantastic for Zoom calls. I use one of them for my face and one of them for my bass for close-ups. They're fantastic, nothing to add there. I connect them using a USB dock. One cable goes out from my Mac. All my peripherals, all my webcams, all my SSDs, hard drives connect my Mac using that one dock. No slowdowns to disturb me at all. I think Logitech recommends connecting each webcam using a separate cable, using a separate dock on your computer. For 4K video, I use them on 1080p all the time since Zoom supports only 1080p at all. The heart of my setup, other than the Mac, is my Apollo Twin. This is the older model with Thunderbolt 2 connection. I use an adapter. It's an expensive adapter, but it works like a charm. Nothing to complain there. Let's get to the audio production part. I use only Logic Pro. I don't use Pro Tools, Cubase, Ableton, any other alternatives. I just use Logic Pro. Logic Pro satisfies all my needs as far as the DAWs go, and I think it's a cold breeze in the desert if you compare it with the other programs. It's a lot cheaper from the others as well. No subscription fees, no extra costs for the upgrades as well. Just a one-time purchase. Inside Logic, I use a lot of native instruments, Kontakt plugins, and UAD software as well. The heaviest plugin I use is probably the Superior Drummer. Even with my heaviest sessions, I don't experience any slowdowns at all, nothing to disturb me anyways. And I don't do a lot of resource management. Most importantly, when you're recording, there is no fan noise at all. Even with the heaviest audio and video renders, I have never heard the fan spinning. On Logic Pro, I don't use any software monitoring since I use the Universal Audio's interface. That means I don't need to go too low on the buffer size. I usually leave it at 128. If I play MIDI keyboard, I turn it back to 32. So on the Logic Pro side, as a conclusion, I do not do anything crazy at all, but even with the 50 plus tracks with all those external plugins, I experience no slowdowns. I even forget my computer is there at all. For the video production side, same story applies, but with some conditions. If you use Final Cut Pro, this thing is a beast, but if you use Premiere Pro, not so much. Premiere Pro has some bugs and occasional slowdowns. Even with the 1080p footage, I experience slowdowns. If you always transcode your media or use proxies, I think you can work with Premiere Pro with occasional 4K and 1080p editing, but if you want to use camera native formats, camera native codecs, I think the Final Cut Pro X is the way to go. With the Final Cut Pro, you can throw anything at it, even some 8K footage as well. So my advice for you there is, if you're a solo musician like me who wants to use their computer mostly for audio production and some occasional video editing, I think you should use Final Cut Pro 100%. If you do not do anything external that specifically requires Premiere Pro, don't use it. You can also use Affinity Suite. It's a one-time purchase for your light photo editing, for your illustration work, and stay out of the Adobe's subscription system. I think it's a prison and you should do anything you can do to get away from it. Alright, so if you're a musician who wants a reliable computer while you practice your instrument, just go for it. I even forgot to close half of the programs I open up all the time. There is usually 10 plus Chrome tabs opening, Logic Pro and Final Cut Pro working at the same time. Maybe I'm doing some Photoshop editing, all of them running at the same time, and I don't experience any slowdowns at all. I even forget my computer is even there. This thing is so well optimized, even with the 8 gigs of RAM, you forget any internal configurations. Alright, that's all I have to say. See you on the next one.